there's so many myths out there about smoking. The tobacco companies have put up a lot of things in people's head about smoking that are so not true. And as being an educator going around speaking to kids, speaking to adults, doing education classes and that kind of stuff, people are on the wrong track. I mean, if we want people to give up smoking, we also need them to be able to understand the truth about smoking in the first place.
My message is keeping it simple, bite-sized pieces, and thinking outside the square when you want to get your message across. So using pictures, using YouTube, using mediums to help you get that message across.
If someone around you wants to quit smoking, just stand by them, give them your support and be there for them.
My name's David Batty. I've worked for the Kimberley Aboriginal Medical Service for the last 7 years here in Broome. So my job here currently at the Kimberley Aboriginal Medical Services, I work under the Population Health Unit, and within that area I am the Tackling Smoking Healthy Lifestyles Educator for the Kimberley region.
The Nuff and Puff team is actually one team altogether covering the Kimberley, but we all are under CAMS as the main organisation. But since it's such a major area, we had to divide it into two. So we have the West Kimberley team and the East Kimberley team. So Andrew Schultz is the East Kimberley coordinator. I coordinate the West. He has a couple of staff under him, and I have my team here in Broome. But since we still are the same team, we still work really closely, and we send our staff a bit back and forth. So if they would feel they need assistance, we would send one of our staff members up to help out, or they would send people down. So we still work really closely, and everything we produce, for example, the posters and stuff, we send half and half. We all have the same input.
So some of the areas that I travel to throughout the Kimberley region are all the way from Broome itself in Western Australia right up to the top to Kununurra. So from Broome itself, from that area, we do out to Beagle Bay, out to Bidgidanga, and also across over to Derby. So covering the whole of the Kimberley region. My role as a trainer, it's a big job, it's a good job. It's going out and supporting other tackling smoking healthy lifestyle workers throughout the Kimberley region in regards to the programs that they're running within their clinics and within that work area, supporting them with resources, supporting them with extra training. What we've got to remember here is one way of giving up smoking may work really, really well for one person, but for another person, no chance. Okay? Because of things that are maybe happening at home, things that are maybe happening at a workplace. You know, do they have their own place? Do they have kids? Do they have things? You know, you've got to go back down to grassroots first of all and start to work out, well, okay, what's going to be the best way for someone to give up smoking? What we've got to remember with tobacco, everyone, it doesn't matter whether it
looks natural.
It is a rollie, yeah. It doesn't matter if it's a rollie or whether it's a normal cigarette. The problem with it is it still contains over 4,000 poisonous chemicals.
Hi, my name is Kurt Coffin. I'm the tobacco control worker. The role involves anything to do with smoking related, because as you know, as in the clinic, there are a lot of smoking related diseases, and just in being in the clinic we can educate and tell people, or people who are just wanting to give up smoking. I acknowledge how motivated they are in wanting to give up smoking, because when we treat people as individuals, because the individual person comes in and they're all quitting for different reasons, and everyone's on their own journey with the nicotine addiction. You can never fail if you're giving up, because it may take about 10 attempts at giving up smoking, and each time you have another go at quitting, that's another step forward into succeeding.
Basically what happened was Dave approached us first, saying that he needed some designs. He had some previous resources that just needed a facelift, and basically just trying to get an idea of what Dave and the anti-tobacco team kind of was looking for.
We have an absolutely wonderful graphic team within the population health unit. Within that there we have a great artist, Ezra McKenna, who was our original artist behind our designs of our characters. So the characters being up-to-date people, being out there type thing. It had to be bright, they had to be today, it had to be here and now. So these characters were actually designed off of real people.
Usually for one of those projects I'll just sit at my desk like this and go through a whole scrapbook of just loose sketches, getting feedback from people, what smoking means to them, and just jotting down really loose ideas. Very cartoony, very animated. For Nuff with the Puff, around about that time, me and Mike went to Horse Creek just to help out there, I think, just for one of their events. And while I was there, I kind of saw that target audience I think that Nuff with the Puff is aimed at. Okay, they really stood out to me after we got back from Horse Creek, so I decided to put them down on paper. And yeah, and I think Mike liked it, Dave liked it, and I did another additional 6 characters.
Because the material was originally aimed at younger people, probably 25s and under, we workshopped the first lot of resources with them 3 or 4 occasions. We got a lot of feedback. Then there was further feedback from the, I guess the board, not board level, but the management level at CAMS, to make sure that everything was representing what they wanted from CAMS. And then again, I think further feedback. Once the first lot of resources were out, there was a bit of evaluation as to how the characters were being deemed and accepted. And
I mean, David and that team has done a fantastic job down there at Population Health with that team and the Tackling Smoking team. And I guess it was first talking through the idea and just listening really and encouraging it. And I think David's taken that and that team's taken that on. And I guess the other big role has been, and then supporting that through the processes we have at camps and outside of camps and talking about it.
What we have tried to do with Fact and Fiction, with Nuff of the Puff program ourselves, is actually keep those Kimberley colours. So having those blues for the sky, the blue for the ocean, representing the sky and the ocean, and then having the Pindan as the colour of the Pindan dirt here. So that is Kimberley wide. So that is how it's actually evolved. Every one of our posters all follow suit. So when you see these colours, you actually know that it belongs to Nuff of the Puff.
Yeah, from then onwards, I tried to make them into real characters that we could use, which basically meant was getting the characters look not only correct, but also drawing them in numerous poses, doing a lot of different angles, a lot of different expressions.
So I think the appeal of the Nuff of the Puff resources is how Kimberley orientated they are, but also just how optimistic and vivid, and how I think a lot of local people can relate not only to the colours but the characters as well.
Because what smoking does is you've got these little nerves and little nerve endings that in your feet and your hands and all that, and you get pins and needles and loose.
I used to work in a clinical role before, so I met the Nuff of the Puff team when they came out and delivered some medication to some of our young pregnant mums. And I've also seen them around the community at community events and etc. So I've always thought it was a great program. I think they do a good preventative thing, and yeah, when I got the opportunity to snap up a position, I was really happy to take it. So.
All right, hands on heads if we're cooking today. Oh, very good.
And see, like your back isn't like it's crooked now, so you're gonna bring chest up, back in, and bend over a little bit more. At the knees, bend at the knees, that's it. Bring this back up a little bit more.
When I actually come into the role, I've realised that it is a really well-established project. They've been funded well and they've been able to produce so many resources and they've spread so much out to the community. So I'm really privileged being where I am, and I think there still is a lot of good positive things to come, but they've gone a far, far way already in the 2 years they've been, or almost 3 years they've been, no, 3 years they've been up and running actually, so yeah.
For our social marketing campaign, we thought it was really important to get as much input as we could and speak to community people across the Kimberley. So we thought it was particularly important to employ some researchers to help us get more information about the community that we represent in the right across from Kununurra, Halls Creek, Mowanjum, Derby and Broome. We wanted to get different perspectives from people so that we could be really aware about how to do our social marketing. We wanted to have an idea about their motivations, so to find out what was motivating for people across the Kimberley. So that was one of our areas that we wanted to find out more about. And we wanted to find out how they were engaging with media, so whether Facebook was a priority for people, what TV shows they were watching, what time of the day they were watching TV was another really important thing that we needed to know to find out when to best advertise or how to best advertise. We're also interested in people's smoking habits and finding out a bit more about people's smoking habits and the way that they, I guess, when they use tobacco, how they use tobacco, if they smoke it in front of their children. They're the types of things that we wanted to find out about.
So we're getting 2 TV ads coming out soon on GWN and Golari. We also have a couple of radio ads coming out. And we also recently done some posters, or with the help of a graphic team, of course, not ourselves, in regards to smoking and pregnancy, and also smoking in your home and in your car. So this one is just one of them that we also put on a T-shirt that is just showing for mums to realise what is actually happening to the baby.
Mum! Go back inside, Bob. Mum's smoking.
But why, Mum?
Because smoking is bad for your health. Kids shouldn't be around other people when they smoke.
But what about that baby in your tummy, Mum? That baby doesn't have to go inside.
You're such a smart kid.
If you smoke during pregnancy, so does your baby. Every cigarette is doing them harm. For help quitting the smokes, visit your Aboriginal health clinic. Give your child the best start in life. Make your child's space a smoke-free place.
Nuff for the Puff. This Tackling Indigenous Smoking and Healthy Lifestyle initiative was funded by the Australian Government Department of Health and Ageing.
I think it's made us very confident with what we're doing, and that's really been really important in this role of tackling smoking and healthy lifestyles. It's such a broad area. It's sometimes hard to know exactly how to focus or what way to work in. So I think by going out and talking to people, it's given us more information and made us really strong with our communication and what we're trying to get out with our messages so that we can then evaluate our messages. The process of doing this involving other people was really great because it just got other people's opinions. Sometimes it's really easy to be focused about what you believe or how you see things. So by getting people with different experiences, different educations, really sort of helped to make it fun. And so we were just so interested in the final outcome because we could be so clear with what we wanted. We knew, we didn't go to the media company not knowing what we were looking for. So we were quite confident with the communications that we wanted.
Parents teach their children to do many things. Don't let smoking be one of those lessons. Quit smoking. Do it for yourself, your family, and our next generation. For help quitting the smokes, visit your Aboriginal health clinic.
So the fact and fiction game evolved. One morning I woke up with a bit of an idea, one of those early morning things that you get, one of those dreams, and I documented a little bit on a bit of paper and went to work and had a discussion with my coordinator at the time, and we came up with the whole concept of fact and fiction. Within the one day of being at work, I'd come up with the artwork that's sitting on the table here now in regards to the fact and fiction to give us an idea of what we needed. We've tried to make the game so it actually meets the needs of everybody. So from young kids right up until elder people as well. So it can be played within very many different settings, within schools, out on the beach if you like, in the bush underneath a tree. It can be taken anywhere. It is being used by over 60 different organisations across Australia, like I said, in various different settings. So fact being true or fiction being false? It is true.
You aren't Millie.
So how do we play the game? There is two different ways you can actually play this game. I've tried to make it so it can be used within a closed setting within a classroom, where up to that the fact and fiction book itself comes with 10 easy simple questions on actually how to play it in a classroom or with a group of people. It's been designed on a mat that is 1 metre by 1.5 metres long on canvas, so you can actually roll it up. It can be used indoor or outdoor. You see here in front of me, this is the original design of the fact and fiction game. From the day that I came up with the concept and the idea of the game, this is what was actually painted and started off as the original fact and fiction. So from that is for what we have today is the new fact and fiction. So the fact and fiction is still following the same idea, as the original, but this time adding in the artwork with it, with some amazing characters in here which have been designed and developed within our Tackling Smoking Nuff of the Puff team itself. So very simple. It's just keeping it nice and bright, very colourful. Kids like bright, colourful, attractive type things. So and keeping it relevant to Aboriginal education as well. My name is actually David Batty. I'm a Noongar boy from the Central Wheatbelt in Calabarin, born and bred there. I've been in the Kimberley region now for about 14 years. Support from other people around you and all the rest of it. So I put a game together about 12 months ago, what you can see in front of you here, a game called Fact and Fiction. Now the game, what it involves is we know out there is a lot of stuff that is not true about smoking. So before we actually get into the game here, there's a couple of really good messages that we need to be able to talk to you women about as well, and that is because you guys are you ladies are the caretakers and look after kids and have your own kids as well, along as looking after grannies and all the rest of it. We do know that smoking in pregnancy with women is really high. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a card each for now. Okay, you guys can, you ladies can actually pick out your own card that you want out of the pack. So what you need to think about, on the back of your card on the other side is a question. You can have a look. Okay, so there's a question there. So what we need to do is have a look at the question, and then we need to think about whether the question is fact being true or fiction being false. Who would like to go first and read the question? Millie?
I'll go first.
Millie's going to go first.
So my card says smoking is a bad habit and you need willpower to quit.
So fact or fiction? So fact being true or fiction being false?
Smoking is a bad habit, you need willpower to quit. You reckon that's true or false? You reckon it's true or liar? I think it's... Well, I can say fact because that's how I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Willpower.
Yeah. Yeah, willpower.
I'm not using anything, so I'll put fact.
Yep.
Because the reason I'm saying it's fact is because I'm actually doing it right now. I've quit smoking and it's willpower only.
Yeah. So the other ladies agree with that? Yeah. It's very true. It's a definite fact. You do need willpower, okay? Along with that willpower, you also need to make sure that the questions are appropriate within the program that I've developed here. We need to make sure that we stick to Australian standard guidelines as well for what is actually fact and what is actually fiction in regards to about smoking. This way then putting all tackling smoking healthy lifestyle workers, educators, teachers and other people that have actually take the game and actually use and play with kids, that they are all on the same board, that everyone across the state or the country key is actually getting the same message, the same questions, but getting the same messages. So that way they're breaking down those barriers of people still getting those wrong messages, and giving further education, not only out to the people that are playing it, but to the educators themselves that actually take on the game to actually learn how to play it and then how to put it back for their own people.
So the other thing was actually looking at the questions themselves, so looking at them, making sure they're accurate questions, making sure answers are accurate. So sort of validating and making, and we did that as a team, so Heather Briggs, who's the SMO, was very much a part of that too. So looking at the questions and working through them, seeing if they make sense. And it's a nice part of my job, I must say, because you get to develop something that's new, that's exciting, and you can see the potential to go outside of smoking. And so when we started talking about that was another exciting part of it, because I think it's adaptation to other different topics and other parts of Aboriginal health, are sort of endless in a way.
So at the Shinju Festival yesterday, here in Broome, the Nuff the Puff team had actually gone and set up a big display on the Oval, as this year it was funded by, the Shinju Festival was funded by Smoke Free WA, who had actually did all the funding for it. So we put up our big tent of Nuff of the Puff and had all of our stuff out there. Along with that there, we put on the fact and fiction game, which is run differently to in a classroom. So what we do in a community situation is I will stand there, and as bypassers come by, I would ask them would they like to answer a couple of questions about smoking. And with that there, if they do, they come and get two questions done. I then put them into a draw to win a nice big fruit and veggie package. It's really important to think about that we are tackling smoking healthy lifestyle, and having that fruit and veggie package is really intriguing. It gets people to come in. Here, a smoker can have a smoke-free home and car. So do you reckon it's easy to have so no one smokes in your house and no one smokes in your car? That's good if we can do that, can't we? Well done, you're pretty smart. So here.
It's keeping the message simple. When you're talking to patients, it's one message at a time, not overload. And I'm a really bad drawer, but I tend to draw everything. So I scribble on paper, I write it down, I use the internet, and I try and show people in pictures. And I actually use YouTube. There's some things on YouTube that are very, very useful as a clinician. And I think it's using all those mediums to get your message across to whoever you're talking to. Because we all know the messages. I think clinicians know what the messages they want to get across. And most of the time, patients know some of the messages.
So really good to see you guys still here. That's really good. It's good for me to come back and see that some of the health workers that I actually taught are still doing really, really well and actually running things in the clinic and running programs. So well done to you guys that are doing that.
Question is, 1 in 5 Aboriginal people will die from the effects of smoking.
True.
Right.
Yep. 1 in 5. 1 in 5 of us. Okay, will die from a smoking-related issue.
Not me, I gave up.
So that's definitely a fact, yeah? We know that the population, our Aboriginal population, is really high on the smoking list. So the fact and fiction game as a resource plays a big part in the training package as well, because a lot of the questions that I've sort of designed the package around the fact and fiction game, due to the fact is there's a lot of those myths. As we've noticed in the last couple of days, people still realise or still seem to think that there is, what they have been taught years ago is still truth today, which it's sort of worked it in to blow some of those myths out by adapting the training package around that fact and fiction game. There's been so many people that we've trained out of those 17 people that have actually come back and said, well then, but why haven't we already been trained this? We are senior Aboriginal health workers, we are nurses, and we've never received this kind of training in any of their journey, from being, who they were until where they are today, working in those clinics. I think it's very, very important if we're expecting people in clinics to talk to patients in regards to their smoking addictions. you know, we need to get this training out there. We need to have people more up to date with that information. You know, what is the latest information? What is the best way for people to quit smoking? The effects of smoking, the cost of smoking. You know, we need to build a picture about it a lot stronger. See you, Chloe. Back next week. So the best thing that's come out of the fact and fiction game for me, there's been so many. There's just been so many. I think the support from Australian community themselves in just wanting to take on this resource. I think, yeah, that's pretty. Sorry.
That's great.
Yeah, that's for me. That's powerful. The next biggest thing is to go into New Zealand.